All right, it's recording.
Okay, so welcome everybody to the Mental Wellness Virtual Fair. So we are the Sexual Health team, part of Health and Wellness Center, and our topic today is the relationship spectrum. So just some Zoom etiquette. Please remain muted upon entry. We will let you know when you can unmute. And then we're also going to introduce ourselves using our name, our program of study, our pronouns, and what city we are joining. And just to let you know, there is a chat in the Zoom call, so you are welcome to use it if you have any questions. So I'll start. So my name is Rachel. My program of study is health studies. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm in Toronto.
Mayura?
Hi, my name is Mira. I'm double majoring in health studies and women and gender studies. My pronouns is she and her, and I'm also joining from Toronto.
Zita?
My name is Zita, and I'm in my fourth year doing a double major in health studies and human biology. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm joining in from Whitby.
Hi, my name is Niroji. I'm majoring in psychology and minoring in biology and environmental science. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm joining from Toronto too. Rachel?
Okay, so great. So now we're going to get on to the comfort agreement. So this is basically just a list of different things that we want to respect today during our talk. So one thing is that this is a judgment-free zone, so we will be respecting everybody's opinion, even if it's differing than ours. We also will be active listening, so we're going to make sure that we're giving everybody a chance to speak. We will be mindful of inclusive language, so like pronouns. We'll also follow the Zoom etiquette that I just went over. And yeah, that's pretty much that. And we're also going to be doing a statement of acknowledgement of the land that the University of Toronto is built on. So I wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit River. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. As I said from the beginning, our topic today is the relationship spectrum. So, the types of relationships we will primarily be focusing on are romantic relationships. But of course, a lot of the things that will be mentioned today can also be applicable to other relationships in your life, whether it's friendship, familial relationships, or even meeting random people.
So this image right here is just a image of showing you kind of the spectrum, the relationship spectrum ranging from healthy to abusive. And the reason why it is a spectrum is because it's in a way, depending on your situation and the context and the type of relationship you have, what you deem to be healthy or unhealthy or abusive is up to you and up to all parties in the relationship. So we're going to start with looking at what deems to be a healthy relationship. So on here are some links that you can always go to get further resources. So some qualities of what or characteristics of what a healthy relationship is that they should include respect, and then you should be maintaining and creating boundaries and always discussing with each other continuously what your boundaries are, and to always have clear consent. And with the consent component, it has to always be ongoing. Just because it was given once doesn't mean that it's continuously always there. It always has to be talked about. Trust one another. There has to be equality and communication, and you always can compromise with each other. And in the bottom, always kindness to one another. And those who are in a relationship together, again, whether it's romantic or platonic or familial, is be comfortable talking with each other and always create a safe and open space to talk safely. And it is always important to acknowledge that you may have different needs and different views on things, but you should always understand what those needs and views are and always be open to communicate and work together with them. So now we're going to look at what is an abusive relationship at the other end of the spectrum. So what does an abusive relationship look like? Usually revolves around fear and a lack of respect or a lack of trust, power imbalance, and some signs of what an abusive relationship could include is that there's name calling, belittling, blaming, you're guilt tripping, maybe jealous. Jealousy necessarily is an abusive thing, but whether you're taking advantage of it, and violence, whether it's verbal or physical. There's also, going back to the name calling and stuff, there's possessiveness, humiliation, manipulation, yelling. Again, yelling is not the greatest way of communication, and if it's often occurring, that is something to be looked at. And anger, violence, and control, the bottom line, are not expressions of love, even if they say they love you, but their actions don't respect that. Sometimes your actions mean more than your words. And it is a pattern, whether or not. And there's different types of abuse. Again, it's not just verbal or physical, there's emotional, sexual, and financial abuse as well.
So we're going to look at unhealthy relationships next. So what does an unhealthy relationship look like? So sometimes it's hard to like differentiate or choose or make a clear line when a relationship becomes unhealthy or abusive. So an unhealthy relationship might include like occasional fights or like feeling of insecurities. It may involve slight power imbalance or like being mean to one another or ignoring like each other's boundaries or pressuring one person to do something out of their comfort zone or like something that they're not comfortable with. But in an abusive relationship, one person or one partner is almost completely in control of the other person. So remember that no matter what, it is a relationship based on kindness and respect. You don't need a reason to end a relationship. So there's an online factor as well. So abuse and harassment are serious, like both online and offline. So if someone's making you feel like uncomfortable or like attacked, you may be able to report the harassment to like site administrators, police, or human resource at work. If someone like is harassing you or starting to harass you, um, you have to think and you may decide to report it. It can be helpful to keep like a record of messages or like screenshots of messages, or if you have any like voice recordings like just on your hand, just in case that you need to give like specifics or show patterns when making a report. So it's a generally a good idea to not publicly post your phone number or address, because it can also trigger like the person who's abusive to kind of like do something to you. um, Also, keep in mind that you and your partner might have different social media needs, so be open to finding a compromise that works for like all that's involved. So, do we tag each other's in posts, or can we post about our relationships, or what types of photos are we okay to post? Like, and consider talking about sexting and sending photos between you as part of the conversation. So, are you interested in sending or receiving like nudes or anything like that, or is it okay for your partner or you to even download like those photos or onto your phone or other devices like your laptop? So it's okay. I mean, it can also be okay to talk about how you feel about sharing passwords, or if you want to keep your direct messages private. Here are some examples of behaviors that we can be considered as or can be considered as online abuse or harassment. So like insulting someone, also aggressively or constantly pestering them to like send nude pictures, or like even sexting, also demanding to look at someone else's private messages, and also controlling someone's social media account, and controlling who they can follow, who they can't follow or be friends with online.
All right, perfect. So if everyone could go to the Mentimeter.com and sign in with the code, we could just play a quick game. Rachel, now you could just stop sharing your screen and I'll start sharing my screen. I see. All right, I think everyone's in. So let's start. So just have to answer the questions. Forcing sexual touch or intercourse. What is this an example of? Healthy relationship, unhealthy relationship, or abusive? All right. So that's three votes, all abusive. It is right. Let me just go to the next slide and explain you guys why. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm responding. All right. So Beyonce got the highest point, Azita the second, and Rachel third. Why forcing sexual touching or intercourse is considered abusing is because abusive is because there's no consent. When someone is forcefully touching you, it's considered a sexual assault. It causes discomfort to one person and their feelings are not kept in mind. And the sexual assault can be filed in as a charge if the victim wishes it. The next question is, talking about your feelings. Healthy, unhealthy, or abusive. That's right. It's a healthy relationship. Let's see who got the highest point. Rachel did. Wow, you guys are pretty close. So Beyonce is the highest, Rachel second, and Azeta the third. Talking about your feelings is obviously healthy because that shows that you have very good communication skills, and that's very important in a relationship where you can address your feelings rather than push it under a rug, and which develops discomfort and possible loss of interest in the relationship, which is unhealthy. So anyways, communication is always important in a relationship. Question 3 is gonna start. Pestering your partner until you get what you want. Is it healthy, unhealthy, or abusive? Unhealthy. That's right. Who got it right? Fastest. Rachel Wood is first now, Beyonce second, is Zeta third. Pestering is considered unhealthy because it shows a lack of healthy communication and a slightly immature behavior, I guess, in terms of the person who is pestering the other partner. Some people might have thought that it might be abusive because sometimes pestering can get to an extent where it's abusive, but since it's not as controlling, we don't consider it abusive. If you guys are wondering why it can be considered abusive. So next question is, can I start? Stating differences of opinion, healthy, unhealthy, or abusive. Healthy, you guys are right. Who did the fastest? Beyonce. All right, Beyonce the first, Rachel second, Azita third. Yeah, stating a difference of opinion is definitely healthy. It's important to state your thoughts and where you stand in a argument or conversation. when you talk about things and when you have a difference of opinion, you get to learn when you communicate that with your partners or in any kind of relationships. And it's also good to agree to disagree. There's always that option if you can't learn. And if you're not able to communicate or talk about things that your opinions are different from the other partner, there's a problem. So you got to make sure that you're comfortable talking your feelings or your opinions with your partner or any other friend or anyone it may be. The last question. Shouting or yelling when you are angry at your partner. Healthy, unhealthy, or abusive? Everyone voted unhealthy. For this, before we check at the points, I'll explain why we also thought abusive is right. Shouting or yelling can be considered unhealthy or abusive because it really depends on the personal experience of an individual. Some people have an unhealthy way of expressing their emotions, which can cause kind of a rift in the relationship. But if the person is too controlling and if it's too repetitive and it's causing harm to the other individual and the other individual in the relationship, then it's considered abusive. But anyways, shouting or yelling is not considered healthy, so it's a toxic relationship. There you go. So unhealthy and abusive both are right in this part. So who got it right fastest? All right, glasses. Rachel Wood wins. Yay. All right. So that's it. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Rachel, you could continue with the rest of the presentation.
Okay. So just some resources. So if you think that you are in an abusive relationship or you know of someone who could possibly be in one, or you just feel unsafe in any sort of aspect, there you can always contact a social worker, a counselor, or a doctor. These are some websites that you can go to help you create a plan or just ways that you can access talking to someone about it. There's also some phone numbers at the bottom. Obviously, if it's something that's completely like you're in immediate danger, 911. But there's also the National Domestic Violence Hotline. There's those two numbers at the bottom in case you ever need it. So also just some resources that we have on campus in case you feel you are in an unsafe environment. So we have obviously the Health and Wellness Center. So that's our phone number and that's our email that you can use to book an appointment. We have counseling, nursing, and doctor's appointments. It's all available virtually or by the phone right now. But of course, if it's necessarily needed, we can always do an in-person appointment as well. And then we also have the UCSC Sexual Violence Prevention and Support Center at that number and their email. So this is just a quick thing to take away from the presentation that we had today. So please remember that there is no perfect relationship, but if people feel respected and safe and are working towards a healthy relationship, then that is what counts. So of course, we might have labeled some of the things maybe in abusive or in unhealthy relationships when we were talking about them. And maybe you thought, oh, these things kind of apply to the relationship I'm in. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you are in an abusive relationship or are in an unhealthy relationship. It just could mean that you guys are working towards being in a healthier version of one. And that's okay as long as you feel safe and that you are respected and important in the relationship, then that's all that matters. Sorry. So thank you for coming. Um, sorry. Please feel free to head over to another room starting at the other half hour. Also, if you are interested, the Health and Wellness is offering a wellness talk at home tomorrow from 4 to 5:30. It will be the nutritional health team. They will be discussing the impact of social media on eating disorders. You can register on CLN to join that. So thank you.